Good evening, I'm Tom Greenwood.
And I'm Rebecca Mays.
Tonight, a WQAD reporter talks about social responsibility and the effects of agenda setting on the news.
We will also hear from a local consumer on their thoughts of WQAD's ethical practices.
These are the top news stories here on Comm TV. Society heavily relies on its news outlets to inform them of stories, events and issues affecting their daily lives. It is the responsibility of journalists to deliver that information ethically without bias. However, one theory suggests that outlets do hold a bias. For more info, we go to Becca with the scoop.
The theory of agenda setting describes the ability of the news media to influence the importance placed on the topics of the public agenda. The general public receives their own direct impressions from reality and the events going on around them. They still will typically turn to their media sources to get full news information.
What's more, at the same time, the governor announced he also wants to reinstate the death penalty in Illinois, specifically for convicted cop killers and mass murderers. Illinois has not used the death penalty since 1999.
Journalists, PR officials, and other media agents will then gather information from events they deem significant and organize the info. The different media sources will then communicate the stories they have gathered to the public, who will then form their own opinions on what is gathered. By deciding what events to inform the public on, the media is setting an agenda. The agenda does not tell people what to think, but dictates what people will think about.
Well, there are a lot of dangers in going back to the death penalty. One of them is, of course, that we have a history of getting it wrong.
Frequent viewer of WQAD, Danny Gutierrez, talks about her impressions on WQAD's reliability and ethics.
I personally watch WQAD every day. I put it on in the morning when I get ready, and then I watch it at 10 o'clock at night. And I really like it. I think they do a really good job of covering local stories and what's going on in like politics, world news like that. So I think they do a pretty good job hitting all the key points for that, what's going on. Generally, no. Granted, there might be sometimes their personal opinion might come in, but I think they do a good job trying to keep it neutral and have an open mind and cover both sides with what's going on.
Given the power of social media, misinformation is highly prominent due to its ability to travel fast without confirming its authenticity, which is why social responsibility in the media is important. For more, we go to Tom Greenwood.
Social responsibility is considered a normative theory that substitutes media industry and public responsibility for the total media freedom on one hand and for external control on the other hand. We spoke to local TV news station WQAD's Elizabeth Wadders on her thoughts on her role as a reporter in society.
Well, I would say in the Quad Cities, I feel like my role is helping our community understand where they live, understanding the good parts, understanding the bad parts. If there is an issue, my job is to look into that, hold people accountable, but the most important thing is to show both sides of those issues, present that information to viewers, and let them decide on their opinions about things.
Social responsibility is something that WQAD practices in their stories. In their September article, WQAD reported how statistics show the number of smokers has reduced by 400,000 in England, showing the benefits towards one's health. WQAD followed to social responsibility by highlighting an ineffective way of quitting smoking, a health benefit that the public should be aware of. Along with social responsibility, there is a code of ethics the media should follow. The Public Relations Society of North America also believes that expertise should be practiced. Expertise is when the media responsibly uses acquired specialized knowledge. In the case of this article, the statistics from health professionals is an example of expertise. Reporter Elizabeth Wadders covered a story about a 14-year-old boy who passed away in Moline. She went to Iowa City to interview the family for a story with WQAD. This family was not fully honest with her, so she was accused of gatekeeping. Gatekeeping is when one in an area of media has the power to determine the content delivered to audiences. Gatekeepers have power over those seeking to inform as well as those wishing to be informed by selecting information to communicate. Wadders explains her story.
Recently, I was actually accused of being a gatekeeper to news. There was a story that I was working on about a boy in Moline. He was a teenager who died suddenly of this disease. I went to Iowa City. I talked with his parents. They told me he died of a disease called ADEM disease.
14-year-old Christopher Bunch was born to be known.
One of his other dreams was to
make it big on YouTube.
But last week, this big brother's life took a turn for the worse. It all started with a headache at football practice.
If anything, I was thinking he's probably just really dehydrated.
Christopher spent most of the next 48 hours sleeping. That's when his parents knew something was wrong.
His progression went from 0 to 100 in a matter of 4 hours.
Christopher was rushed to the ICU in Iowa City, where his parents got the diagnosis.
They call it Adam's disease, A-D-E-M.
Yeah, A-D-E-M, yes.
It's a rare autoimmune disease that rapidly attacks the brain and spinal cord. Iowa City doctors only see about 6 cases a year. Christopher's the worst yet. Within a matter of hours, the teen stopped breathing on his own.
And recently, right away after that story aired, people who are anti-vaccine said that he died because of this vaccine, and I wasn't reporting that he died of this vaccine, that I was holding this information from the public, trying to protect vaccines and vaccinations. I talked one-on-one with his parents. They never mentioned it to me. I approached them. I felt like it was my job. People were asking me, is that the cause? They told me they didn't want to tell me that part of the story. And I can't go into someone's medical records and say, oh, this person died of this. The family wasn't wanting to tell me that part of the story, and that's why I didn't report it. And so people were saying that I'm like pro-vaccine and I'm trying to hide this, when in fact it's not. I don't know, I feel like I'm not capable of telling that without the parents' permission.
Do you feel that WQAD takes sides with certain stories or sways one way or another when it comes to politics?
Generally, no. Granted, there might be sometimes their personal opinion might come in, but I think they do a good job trying to keep it neutral and have an open mind and cover both sides with what's going on.
Do you think WQAD withholds any information when it comes to their stories?
I mean, maybe there's something that they're not telling us. I hope that they don't withhold anything from us, but I don't think so. I stay updated. I also have their app, so like I like to go on and see what's going on too in case I miss something and get more details about it to better understand it.
Tonight we saw how all media sources have their way of agenda setting, which is not inherently a bad thing. We also learned from WADAS how WQAD does an excellent job of reporting just the facts, allowing consumers to form their own opinions. Unfortunately, it can be impossible to gather all facts from a given situation, so gatekeeping can occasionally be inevitable. But with the right integrity, accidental mistakes can be fixed. Every reporter has a role in society, and WADAS appears to know hers.
I think now more than ever, the news and journalism is more important. They used to say journalism was the fourth branch of government, in this separation of powers and this balancing things out. And I don't think that can be lost. Journalists have to be ethical, they have to be truthful, and they have to present the information to their viewers, both sides. It's not a journalist's job to put their agenda into their stories. It's give all the information, dig, that is my job, give you this information on a platter, and let you decide what you think.
Thanks for watching Comm TV. I'm Tom Greenwood.
And I'm Rebecca Mays.
Have a good night.